My name is Serafina, I'm 28, and I thought I knew my family until 3 words changed everything. Stay behind then. My mother's voice was ice cold as she dismissed my concerns about the expensive family reunion flight costs. But when I accidentally saw her credit card statement 2 weeks later, those same flights were mysteriously cheaper. Much cheaper. The betrayal cut deeper than any knife, revealing a web of lies that would shatter everything I believed about blood loyalty and family love. Call to action. Hey, beautiful souls. Before we dive into this absolutely wild family drama that literally turned my world upside down, drop a comment and let me know where you're watching from. Are you team family first? Or do you believe actions speak louder than blood? Smash that like button if you've ever felt excluded by your own family, and definitely subscribe, because this story has more twists than a pretzel factory. Trust me, what happens next will have your jaw on the floor. Let's get into this crazy ride together. The whole mess started during what should have been a routine family video call in early March. My parents, Robert and Patricia, along with my 2 siblings, Marcus and Isabel, were discussing our annual family reunion in Hawaii, a tradition that had been going strong for 15 years. Everyone was buzzing with excitement about seeing extended relatives, the beach house rental, and all the planned activities. So the flights are running about $860 per person from the mainland, my mother announced, with her typical matter-of-fact tone. Robert already booked ours and Marcus got his sorted yesterday. Isabel, yours are confirmed too, right, sweetie? My sister nodded enthusiastically from her apartment in Seattle. Yep, can't wait to see everyone. It's been too long since we've all been together. I felt my stomach drop. $860 was nearly half my monthly take-home pay as a social worker. I'd been saving for months, but unexpected car repairs and my grandmother's medical bills had wiped out most of my reunion fund. Mom, that's really steep for me right now, I said carefully. I know I committed to this trip, but with everything that's happened lately, I'm looking at maybe $400 maximum for airfare. Can we look at different dates? Or maybe I could book separately to find something cheaper. The silence on the call was deafening. My father's face remained neutral, but I caught something flickering in his eyes. Marcus shifted uncomfortably in his chair, and Isabel suddenly found her coffee cup incredibly interesting. My mother's expression hardened into that familiar mask of disappointment I'd grown up fearing. Serafina, we've been planning this for months. Everyone else managed to make it work financially. The family is counting on all of us being there. I understand that, but I'm not asking to skip it entirely. I'm just asking if there's any flexibility. The flights are $860 each, she cut me off sharply. If you cannot afford it, stay behind. We can't delay everyone else's plans because you didn't budget properly. The words hit me like a physical blow. Not let's figure this out together, or maybe we can help, or even that's tough luck, but we understand. Just a cold dismissal that felt like being excommunicated from my own family. Marcus finally spoke up, though his voice was hesitant. Mom, maybe we could. The discussion is closed, she snapped. Everyone else is handling their responsibilities like adults. After the call ended, I sat in my tiny apartment feeling absolutely gutted. This wasn't just about money. It was about being discarded the moment I became inconvenient. I'd always been the family's reliable one, the peacemaker, the one who never caused drama. But apparently that loyalty was a one-way street. I spent the next 2 weeks in a weird limbo watching my family's group chat buzz with Hawaii planning while pretending everything was fine. Nobody reached out privately to check on me. Nobody suggested alternatives. It was like I'd simply been erased from the family equation. Then came the accident that changed everything. I was house-sitting for my parents while they attended a local wedding. My father had asked me to grab some documents from his home office for his insurance claim, and I accidentally knocked over a stack of papers near his computer. As I bent to collect everything, a credit card statement fluttered to the floor, landing face up. My eyes automatically scanned it, and then I froze completely. There in black and white were the airline charges. Hawaiian Airlines, R. Patterson, $547.32, and Hawaiian Airlines, P. Patterson, $547.32. The dates matched exactly with when they'd supposedly booked their 860 flights. $547, not 860. My hands started shaking as the implications crashed over me. I pulled out my phone and screenshot the relevant portion, my mind racing. Had my parents lied about the cost to test my financial responsibility? Was this some kind of tough love lesson gone wrong? But then I kept scanning the statement and found more entries. Hawaiian Airlines, M. Patterson, $547.32, and Hawaiian Airlines, I. Patterson, $547.32. Everyone's flights cost $547. Everyone except mine, which didn't exist because I'd been priced out with a fictional number. I sat on my parents' kitchen floor staring at that statement, feeling like my entire reality was reshaping itself. This wasn't a mistake or a miscommunication. This was deliberate deception designed to exclude me from the family trip. But why? What had I done to deserve being manipulated and pushed out? I was the kid who never got in trouble, who called every Sunday, who showed up for every birthday and holiday without complaint. I was the one who'd spent my savings helping with Grandma's medical bills, while my siblings made excuses about their own financial constraints. The more I thought about it, the more pieces started falling into place. How quickly the conversation had been shut down when I asked for flexibility. How nobody in the family had reached out afterward. How Marcus had started to say something supportive but got immediately silenced. This wasn't spontaneous cruelty. This was planned. My phone buzzed with a text from Isabel. "Can't wait for Hawaii. Mom found this amazing snorkeling tour for the whole family. The casual cruelty of it made me nauseous." They were actively planning experiences I'd been deliberately excluded from, and my sister was rubbing it in my face either maliciously or with complete obliviousness to what had been done to me. I carefully returned everything to its original position and left my parents' house in a daze. By the time I got home, the shock was wearing off and being replaced by something much more dangerous, crystal-clear anger. My family had looked me in the eye and lied to manipulate me out of our reunion. They'd tested my love and loyalty, and when I'd shown financial vulnerability instead of convenient compliance, they'd discarded me like garbage. Well, if they wanted to play games with family loyalty, I was about to become a much better player than they'd ever anticipated. The sweet, accommodating daughter they'd always known was about to disappear, and what emerged in her place would be someone they'd seriously underestimated. The war was on, and they'd fired the first shot without even realizing it. The next morning I woke up with the kind of clarity that only comes after a night of processing betrayal. Gone was the hurt, confused daughter who'd spent 2 weeks questioning her own worth. In her place sat someone calculating, focused, and absolutely done with being the family doormat. I made coffee and opened my laptop, diving deep into research mode. If my family wanted to play manipulation games, I needed to understand the full scope of what I was dealing with. This wasn't just about airfare. This was about years of subtle exclusion and favoritism that I'd been too loyal to acknowledge. First, I combed through my bank statements and records, documenting every family-related expense I'd covered over the past 3 years. The numbers were staggering. I'd contributed over $4,000 to Grandma's medical bills, while Marcus claimed his student loans prevented him from helping, and Isabel said her new mortgage made things tight. I'd bought expensive Christmas gifts every year while receiving thoughtful but budget-friendly items in return. I'd driven 8 hours each way for family events, burning through gas money and vacation days, while my siblings often video called in with various excuses. The pattern was crystal clear. I was the family's financial safety net and emotional labor provider, but when I needed support, I got deception and dismissal. Next, I started screenshotting everything. The credit card statement, obviously, but also the family group chat messages about Hawaii planning text exchanges with my parents, and even old conversations where I'd been guilted into financial contributions for family causes. I organized everything into folders with dates and context. If this situation escalated, I wanted documentation. Then, I did something that felt both terrifying and liberating. I started researching the actual cost of flights to Hawaii for those exact dates. 20 minutes of searching revealed flights ranging from $530 to $620, depending on timing and airline. Not a single legitimate option came close to $860. My parents hadn't just lied about their own costs, they'd invented a completely fictional price point to exclude me. But here's where it got interesting. I found flights for the exact same dates at $549, almost identical to what my family had actually paid, which meant affordable options had definitely been available when I'd asked for help finding alternatives. My phone rang, interrupting my research. Dad's name popped up on the screen. "Hey, sweetheart," he said, his voice carrying that forced cheerfulness that meant he was about to ask for something. "Mom and I were wondering if you could pick up Grandma's prescription refills this week. The pharmacy is right near your work, and we're swamped with Hawaii preparations." The audacity was breathtaking. They were asking me to handle family responsibilities while actively excluding me from family experiences. "Sure, Dad," I said smoothly. "I'll grab them Thursday." "How's the trip planning going?" "Oh, wonderful. Your mother found this fantastic restaurant for our first night, and Marcus discovered some hiking trails that look incredible. Really wish you could join us, but we understand money's tight for you right now." The fake sympathy in his voice made my teeth clench, but I kept my tone light. "Yeah, it's unfortunate. But hey, maybe next time I'll budget better, right? That's the spirit. Always a learning opportunity." After we hung up, I sat staring at my phone, marveling at how easily he'd delivered that patronizing little lecture. They weren't just excluding me. They were rewriting the narrative to make it my fault for being financially irresponsible. That afternoon, I made a decision that would have seemed impossible 24 hours earlier. I booked my own flight to Hawaii. $549, just like I'd found online. Same dates, same destination, different airline. The irony was delicious. I was going to show up to the family reunion they'd tried to exclude me from having paid less than they did for the privilege, but I wasn't done there. If my family wanted to play manipulation games, I was going to become the master of the board. I called my Aunt Sarah, my dad's sister, who'd always been the black sheep of the family, but also the most honest person in our extended clan. Sarah had a reputation for asking uncomfortable questions and refusing to participate in family politics. "Serafina, how's my favorite niece? Hey, Aunt Sarah, I'm good. Quick question. Are you planning to come to the Hawaii reunion? Wouldn't miss it, though between you and me, I was surprised when Patricia told me you weren't coming. She said you'd decided to skip this year." My blood ran cold. She said I decided to skip, yeah, something about being too busy with work commitments. I thought it was odd because you never miss family stuff, but Patricia seemed pretty definite about it. So not only had they manipulated me out of the trip, they were already spinning the story to make it look like my choice. They were managing the family narrative to protect their image while destroying mine. Actually, Sarah, there's been some miscommunication about that. I am planning to come. Just booked my flight, actually. Could you maybe not mention this conversation to anyone? I want to surprise everyone. Of course. Oh, this will be fun. I love a good family surprise. After we hung up, I leaned back in my chair, mind racing with possibilities. My family had underestimated me catastrophically. They thought they were dealing with the same pushover daughter who'd always accepted whatever scraps of attention and inclusion they threw her way. They had no idea I'd been documenting everything that I'd discovered their lies, or that I was already 3 steps ahead of their manipulation game. I spent the evening researching Hawaiian accommodations, finding a beautiful boutique hotel just 10 minutes from their planned family rental. Close enough to make my presence impossible to ignore, far enough to maintain my independence and dignity. Then, I started planning my approach. This wasn't going to be about confrontation or drama. That's what they'd expect from emotional hurt, Serafina. Instead, this was going to be about strategic revelation and letting their own actions speak for themselves. By bedtime, I had a complete strategy mapped out. I was going to Hawaii, I was going to attend every family event with a smile, and I was going to watch my manipulative family squirm when their carefully constructed lies came crashing down around them. The best part, they'd done all the heavy lifting themselves. I just had to show up and let the truth do its work. Sweet dreams, family. Your wake-up call was coming, and it was going to be absolutely epic. The next 3 weeks were a masterclass in strategic patience. While my family continued their Hawaii group chat without me, I quietly orchestrated the most satisfying revenge plan of my adult life. First, I reached out to my cousin Daniel, Aunt Sarah's son, who'd always been more like a brother to me than my actual siblings. Daniel was a photographer living in Honolulu, and when I explained my situation, carefully omitting the credit card discovery but mentioning feeling excluded, his response was immediate and fierce. "That's absolutely ridiculous, Sarah. You're literally the glue that holds this family together. Want me to do some digging on what they're really up to out here?" "What do you mean?" "Well, I helped your dad book some activities last month when he called asking for local recommendations. Let me check my messages and see what they actually planned versus what they told everyone." 20 minutes later, my phone exploded with screenshots. Daniel had sent me the entire conversation thread with my father, including detailed discussions about group rates, family packages, and activities specifically planned for 5 people, not 4. The smoking gun was a message from 3 weeks ago. "Thanks for the recommendations, Daniel. Patricia and I are so excited to have all 3 kids together for this. Serafina's been working so hard lately, this break will be perfect for her. All 3 kids. They'd been planning for me to attend while simultaneously pricing me out. This wasn't exclusion. This was psychological warfare disguised as family planning. Daniel's next message made my blood boil. "Dude, your parents booked a family photo session with my friend's wife. She's a professional photographer. 5-person package already paid for. They specifically requested 3-generation shots with all the children. What the hell is going on? They literally paid for professional photos expecting me to be there while telling me I couldn't afford to attend." The cognitive dissonance was staggering. I screenshot everything Daniel sent and added it to my growing evidence folder. Then, I made another strategic call. "Hi, is this Jennifer Martinez from Tropical Memories Photography? My cousin Daniel Patterson recommended you for family photos during our reunion next week." "Oh, yes. Are you part of the Patterson group? I have you down for next Thursday at sunset. 5-person family session with 3-generation options." "That's right. I just wanted to confirm the details since there was some family confusion about the arrangements." Jennifer cheerfully confirmed everything my father had booked and paid for a 5-person session 6 weeks ago, specifically mentioning his 3 children would be attending. The session was designed around multiple family groupings, including individual shots of the 3 Patterson kids. The pieces were falling into place beautifully. My family hadn't just excluded me, they'd created this elaborate deception while still planning for my attendance in their heads. It was like they wanted the satisfaction of hurting me, but also wanted me there for the family performance. Well, they were about to get exactly what they'd planned for, just not how they'd expected it. My next move was reaching out to Grandma Rose, the family matriarch who'd always been my strongest supporter. At 87, she had 0 patience for family drama, but infinite love for honest communication. "Grandma, I wanted to let you know I'll be at the reunion after all. There was some confusion about the arrangements, but I managed to work things out." "Oh, wonderful! I was heartbroken when Patricia told me you couldn't make it. She said you were too overwhelmed with work to take vacation time." Another lie. They were telling everyone different stories about why I wouldn't be there, but none of them involved their deliberate financial manipulation. "Actually, Grandma, could I ask you something confidentially? Did Mom mention anything specific about why she thought I wasn't coming?" "Well, she seemed to think you weren't prioritizing family time lately. Said something about you needing to learn better time management and financial planning. Between you and me, dear, I thought it was rather harsh. You've always been the most devoted of my grandchildren." The manipulation was even deeper than I'd realized. They weren't just excluding me. They were poisoning my relationships with extended family by painting me as irresponsible and uncommitted. Don't worry about any of that, Grandma. I'll see you next Thursday and we'll have a wonderful time together. I can't wait, sweetheart. And Serafina, whatever's been going on in the family lately, know that I see how much you do for everyone. Your grandfather would be so proud of the woman you've become. That phone call nearly broke my resolve. Grandma Rose represented everything good about family. Unconditional love, honest communication, and genuine support. The contrast with my parents' behavior was devastating, but it also strengthened my determination. This wasn't just about defending myself anymore. It was about protecting other family members from this toxic manipulation pattern. I spent that evening crafting careful social media posts. Nothing dramatic or accusatory, just casual mentions of my upcoming vacation to Hawaii, excitement about seeing family, and gratitude for unexpected opportunities to travel. I tagged the location and used hashtags that would make my posts visible to anyone searching for family content. The genius was in the subtle messaging. Anyone paying attention would realize I was attending the reunion that family members might have said I was skipping. But I wasn't making accusations or starting drama, just sharing my genuine excitement about the trip. Within hours, comments started rolling in from extended family members expressing surprise and delight that I'd changed my mind about attending. Aunt Margaret commented, "I thought Patricia said you couldn't make it. So glad you worked things out. Perfect." The inconsistencies in my parents' stories were becoming visible to everyone without me having to say a single word against them. My final preparation was booking activities, all the same ones my family had planned but independently. Daniel helped me secure spots in their exact excursions, from the snorkeling tour to the helicopter ride to the luau dinner. Not because I wanted to intrude on their time, but because I wanted them to understand that their financial gatekeeping had been meaningless. The night before departure, I received a text from Marcus. "Hey, saw your Instagram. Thought you weren't coming to Hawaii." I waited 6 hours before responding. "Plans changed. Can't wait to see everyone." His response was immediate. "Did Mom and Dad know you were coming? I wanted to surprise everyone," I replied. Figured it would be more fun this way. The three dots showing he was typing appeared and disappeared several times. Finally, cool. See you there, I guess. The anxiety in his message was palpable. He knew something was wrong with the family narrative, but couldn't figure out what. As I finished packing, I felt a strange sense of calm. For the first time in my adult life, I was walking into a family situation with complete clarity about the dynamics at play. No more naive assumptions about unconditional family love. No more accepting manipulation disguised as tough love. Tomorrow, my family would discover they'd been playing chess with someone who'd finally learned the rules of the game. And I was about to demonstrate that I'd become a much better player than they'd ever anticipated. The stage was set, the evidence was documented, and the truth was about to have its moment in the Hawaiian sunshine. The moment I stepped off the plane in Honolulu, I felt like a completely different person. Gone was the anxious, people-pleasing daughter who'd spent years walking on eggshells around family dynamics. In her place stood someone who knew exactly what she was worth and wasn't afraid to demand it. My family had no idea I was coming. They thought I was back home excluded and ashamed, learning my lesson about financial responsibility. Instead, I was about to give them the education of their lives. I checked into my boutique hotel and immediately posted a stunning sunset photo from my balcony, tagging the location and adding, "Sometimes the universe has better plans than we do." Grateful for unexpected blessings and perfect timing. Within 30 minutes, my phone was buzzing with confused messages from relatives asking if I was really in Hawaii. I responded to each one with cheerful confirmation and excitement about seeing everyone at tomorrow's welcome dinner. But I didn't respond to my parents. Let them figure it out the hard way. The next evening, I walked into the beachside restaurant where our family reunion welcome dinner was taking place. I'd chosen my outfit carefully. A flowing sundress that looked effortlessly expensive, professional photography-worthy makeup, and the confidence that comes from holding all the cards. I spotted my family immediately at a large table near the water. Mom was mid-sentence, gesturing animatedly while Dad nodded along. Marcus and Isabel were scrolling their phones, looking bored. They had no idea their world was about to tilt off its axis. "Surprise!" I called out, approaching their table with the biggest smile I could muster. The silence was instantaneous and complete. My mother's face went through approximately 17 different emotions in 3 seconds: shock, confusion, anger, embarrassment, and finally forced delight. "Serafina, what?" "How are you here, Dad?" stammered, standing up so quickly he knocked over his water glass. "Well, you know how it is," I said, settling into the empty chair they'd obviously planned for me. "Sometimes things work out better than expected. I found a fantastic flight deal at the last minute and decided family was worth the investment after all." Marcus and Isabel exchanged looks that screamed, "What the hell is happening?" while my parents struggled to compose themselves. "That's wonderful, sweetheart." Mom managed her voice tight. "We just thought, with the expense and everything." "Oh, the expense wasn't nearly as bad as expected," I said brightly. $549, actually. "Funny how prices can vary depending on where you look, right?" Dad's face went pale. That exact number hanging in the air between us was like a bomb waiting to explode. "549, Isabel asked innocently. "I thought flights were 860. That's what I thought too," I laughed, pulling out my phone. "But apparently there's quite a range depending on the airline and timing." "Dad, didn't you say yours were 860 each when you booked?" The trap was set perfectly. He could either admit he'd lied about the price or double down and look foolish when the truth inevitably came out. "Well, prices fluctuate," he said weakly. "Different airlines, different amenities." "Absolutely," I agreed. "Speaking of booking, I should probably touch base with Jennifer Martinez about the photo session. Daniel connected me with her and she mentioned you'd already arranged everything. So thoughtful of you to include me in the planning even when you thought I might not make it." If Dad had looked pale before he was now approaching transparent, Mom's forced smile was becoming genuinely painful to watch. "Photo session?" Marcus asked. "The family photos Dad booked weeks ago," I explained cheerfully. "5-person session with 3-generation options. Jennifer's really excited about it. Apparently Dad specifically mentioned wanting shots with all 3 of his children. The math was simple enough for even my siblings to follow. Family photos planned for 5 people, including all 3 kids, booked weeks ago. But one kid supposedly couldn't afford to attend due to inflated flight costs. Isabel, bless her heart, was never one for subtlety. "Wait, if you knew Sarah was coming, why did you tell everyone she wasn't?" "There was some confusion about the arrangements," Mom said quickly. "Miscommunication about dates and costs." "Right," I nodded sympathetically. "Those kinds of mix-ups happen. Although it's interesting, Aunt Sarah mentioned you told her I was too busy with work to attend, but Grandma Rose said you thought I needed to learn better financial planning. And Jennifer thought all 3 kids were definitely coming." Funny how stories can get twisted in family telephone, isn't it? The silence that followed was deafening. Around us, other reunion families were laughing and sharing stories, but our table felt like a courtroom where the verdict was becoming undeniably clear. Marcus cleared his throat uncomfortably. "So, everyone's here now. That's what matters, right?" "Absolutely," I agreed. "Family is everything. Speaking of which, I'm so grateful for all the support you've given me over the years. Like when I contributed to Grandma's medical bills, or drove 8 hours each way for Christmas, or house sat during your anniversary trips. It's wonderful to finally be in a position to invest in family experiences without feeling like a burden." Each example hit like a carefully placed arrow. I wasn't accusing anyone of anything, just expressing gratitude for the opportunity to finally be included in family fun instead of just family obligations. Dad tried to regain control of the narrative. "Serafina, we've always supported you. You absolutely have." I cut him off gently. "And I'm sure this whole flight cost confusion was just an honest mistake. After all, what kind of parents would deliberately lie to their daughter about travel expenses to exclude her from a family reunion?" That would be borderline sociopathic behavior, don't you think? The word sociopathic hung in the air like a challenge. I'd given them a choice: admit to honest mistake or be forced to defend the indefensible. Mom's composure finally cracked. We thought we were trying to teach you about financial responsibility by lying about flight costs. We weren't lying, Mom, I said, softly pulling out my phone. I have the credit card statement. 547.32 for each of your tickets. Same dates, same flights I was supposedly priced out of. The words hit like a physical blow. Around our table, the cheerful reunion atmosphere evaporated completely. Isabel gasped audibly. Marcus dropped his head into his hands. Serafina Dad started. No, I said firmly. We're done with explanations and justifications. You lied to me, manipulated me, and tried to exclude me from our family reunion while telling relatives it was my choice. Then you planned activities expecting me to attend anyway. That's not parenting. That's psychological warfare. I stood up my meal untouched, my point definitively made. I'll see everyone tomorrow for the activities Dad so thoughtfully included me in when he booked them. Should be a wonderful week of family bonding. As I walked away, I heard Isabel's voice behind me. What the hell is wrong with you two? The war was over. I'd won without firing a single shot. I just handed them the ammunition to destroy themselves. The next morning brought a series of frantic text messages that I savored like fine wine while sipping coffee on my hotel balcony. From Dad, we need to talk. This has gotten out of hand. From Mom, you're being dramatic and hurtful. Family loyalty should matter more than pride. From Isabel, what the actual hell happened at dinner? Marcus and I are completely lost. From Marcus, can you call me? I think there's stuff we don't know. I responded only to my siblings, sending them each the same message. Happy to explain everything. Let's meet for lunch today, just us three. I'll send you the location. The beauty of my strategy was its simplicity. I wasn't going to chase my parents around defending myself or getting drawn into circular arguments about respect and family values. Instead, I was going to let the truth speak for itself to the people who mattered most, my siblings and extended family. I chose a quiet cafe 20 minutes from the family resort, somewhere we could talk freely without interruption. When Marcus and Isabel arrived, they both looked like they'd barely slept. Sarah, what is going on? Isabel demanded before she'd even sat down. Mom spent all night crying. Dad's been pacing the hotel room like a caged animal, and neither of them will give us straight answers about anything. They're saying you're trying to destroy the family over some misunderstanding about flight prices, Marcus added. But that doesn't make sense with what happened at dinner. You had specific numbers, specific details. I pulled out my phone and opened the folder I'd been building for weeks. I'm going to show you some things, and then you can decide for yourselves what kind of misunderstanding this really was. For the next hour, I walked them through everything. The original video call where I'd been dismissed. The credit card statement I'd accidentally seen. The conversations with relatives revealing different stories about why I wasn't attending. The photography session booked for 5 people. Daniel's screenshots showing Dad planning for all 3 kids to attend. With each piece of evidence, I watched my siblings' faces change, from confusion to horror to genuine anger. They planned for you to be here the entire time, Isabel said slowly, while telling you that you couldn't afford it. And they told different stories to different relatives about why you weren't coming, Marcus added, none of which were true. The flight price thing is just... Isabel shook her head. That's not parenting. That's manipulation. Cruel manipulation. Marcus was quiet for a long moment, then looked up with an expression I'd never seen on his face before. Sarah, I need to tell you something. Last month, Dad called me asking if I thought you seemed too comfortable lately. He said maybe some financial pressure would help motivate you to be more ambitious about your career. What, I thought he was just worried about your job satisfaction. But now, God, this was planned, wasn't it? This whole thing was some kind of sick life lesson they designed to humble you. The pieces clicked into place with devastating clarity. This hadn't been about reunion costs or financial responsibility. This had been about my parents deciding I needed to be taken down a peg and orchestrating an elaborate humiliation to achieve it. They've been planning this for months, I said quietly. Not just excluding me from Hawaii, reframing me as the irresponsible family member who doesn't prioritize relationships. Isabel started crying. I'm so sorry. We should have questioned it when you weren't coming. We should have reached out privately, offered to help. We trusted them to handle family logistics like they always do, Marcus said. We had no idea they were lying to everyone about everything. And that's exactly what they counted on, I replied. They know you both trust them implicitly. They've spent years positioning themselves as the reasonable parents dealing with difficult family dynamics. But this time they went too far. My siblings spent the rest of lunch asking questions, connecting dots, and getting angrier by the minute. By the time we parted ways, they were both ready to confront our parents directly. Don't do anything dramatic, I advised. Just ask simple questions and let them dig their own grave. That evening, the extended family gathering was supposed to be a casual beach barbecue. I arrived fashionably late, wearing a stunning maxi dress and the kind of confidence that comes from knowing you're absolutely in the right. The atmosphere was noticeably tense. My parents were sitting slightly apart from everyone else, making stilted conversation with relatives who kept glancing in my direction with curious expressions. Word had clearly gotten around that something was wrong with the family harmony. Grandma Rose approached me immediately, her eyes sharp with concern. Sweetheart, your parents seem upset about something. Is everything all right? Everything's perfect, Grandma, I said, giving her a genuine hug. I'm just so grateful to be here with family who actually want me around. She studied my face for a moment, then nodded slowly. I see. Well, you know I'm always here if you need to talk about anything. The evening proceeded with careful politeness and underlying tension. My parents avoided direct interaction with me, but I could feel them watching every conversation I had, monitoring every laugh I shared with cousins and aunts and uncles. The breaking point came when Aunt Sarah loudly announced the next day's activities to the group. Jennifer will be here at 5 for family photos, then we've got the snorkeling tour at 9 and the luau dinner at 7. Robert, you did such a wonderful job organizing everything for all 5 of you. Actually, Mom said tightly there was some confusion about the arrangements. No confusion at all, I interrupted brightly. Dad planned everything perfectly, assuming all 3 of his children would be attending. Which we are. It's wonderful to have parents who think ahead like that. The praise sounded genuine to anyone who wasn't paying careful attention to the subtext. But everyone at our family table caught the knife edge in my voice. Uncle Jim raised his beer in a toast. To Robert and Patricia for keeping the family together and making sure everyone could make it to Hawaii. To keeping the family together, I echoed, looking directly at my parents. Dad's face was gray. Mom looked like she was about to be sick. They'd spent months planning my humiliation, but instead had engineered their own public exposure. And tomorrow's family photo session was going to be absolutely memorable. The family photo session was everything I'd hoped it would be and more. Jennifer Martinez was a consummate professional who had no idea she was documenting the aftermath of a family war. But the camera captured everything. The forced smiles, the careful spacing the way my parents couldn't quite meet. My eyes while I beamed with genuine happiness. Let's get some shots of just the 3 siblings, Jennifer suggested, and I watched my parents' faces as Marcus, Isabel, and I naturally gravitated toward each other, our bond stronger than it had ever been now that the truth was out in the open. Beautiful, you 3 have such natural chemistry, Jennifer commented. Your parents must be so proud. They are, I replied smoothly. Sometimes the best family moments come from overcoming challenges together. After the photos, my siblings and I spent the afternoon talking through years of family dynamics that suddenly made sense in this new context. How many times had our parents orchestrated situations to teach us lessons we'd never asked for? How many family conflicts had been manufactured to maintain their control over the narrative? Remember when they told everyone I was being irresponsible about college applications, Marcus said. but they'd never actually given me the paperwork I needed to complete them. Or when they said I was being ungrateful about Christmas gifts, Isabel added, but they'd specifically asked everyone to spend less on me to teach me to appreciate what I had. The pattern was undeniable. Our parents had spent years positioning themselves as long-suffering while subtly sabotaging their children's relationships with extended family members. But this time, their manipulation had backfired spectacularly. By the fourth day of the reunion, it was clear that the family power structure had shifted permanently. Relatives who'd always deferred to my parents' version of family events were now asking direct questions and drawing their own conclusions. Grandma Rose had privately told me she was disgusted by the dishonesty, and Uncle Jim had made pointed comments about the importance of treating all children equally. My parents were no longer the respected family leaders they'd always been. They were the couple who'd been caught lying to exclude their own daughter from a family reunion. The final confrontation came on our last night when Dad finally approached me privately on the hotel terrace. "Serafina, we need to find a way to move past this," he said, his voice heavy with exhaustion. "The family is fractured, people are taking sides, and this whole situation has gotten completely out of control." "You're right," I agreed. "It has gotten out of control. The question is, what are you planning to do about it? What do you want from us? An apology?" "We've apologized." "No, Dad, you haven't. You've explained, justified, and minimized. But you've never once acknowledged that lying to me about flight costs to exclude me from a family reunion was wrong. You've never admitted that manipulating extended family members into thinking I was irresponsible was cruel. And you've never taken responsibility for the fact that this entire situation was planned and orchestrated by you and Mom." He was quiet for a long moment, staring out at the ocean. We thought you were getting too comfortable. Too dependent on family support without contributing equally. We wanted to motivate you to be more independent. By humiliating me. By giving you consequences for not prioritizing family financial commitments. The honesty was both refreshing and horrifying. He genuinely believed that psychologically manipulating me had been reasonable parenting. "Dad," I said quietly, "I contributed $4,000 to Grandma's medical bills while Marcus and Isabel contributed nothing. I drive 8 hours each way for every family event. I house sit, pet sit, and handle family emergencies without complaint. If that's not prioritizing family, what is? Financial contributions aren't the same as emotional investment. Stop." I held up my hand. "Just stop. You're still doing it. You're still rewriting reality to justify what you did. And until you can acknowledge that lying to exclude your own daughter from a family reunion was wrong, full stop, no justifications, we don't have anything more to discuss." I started to walk away, then turned back. But here's what you need to understand. This week didn't damage the family. It revealed the family. Everyone now knows exactly who they're dealing with when it comes to you and Mom. And they're making their own decisions about what that means for their relationships with you. 6 months later, the family dynamics had settled into a new normal. Marcus and Isabel maintained relationships with our parents, but with much clearer boundaries and a healthy skepticism about family narratives. Several relatives had reduced contact with my parents, particularly Aunt Sarah and Uncle Jim, who'd been deeply disturbed by the manipulation tactics. Grandma Rose had become one of my strongest allies, frequently commenting on social media about how proud she was of my integrity and independence. Sometimes she'd told me privately, "You have to lose the family you were born into in order to find the family you deserve." As for me, I'd learned the most valuable lesson of my adult life, that loyalty demanded honesty and love without respect wasn't worth having. My relationship with my parents would never be the same, and I was completely at peace with that. They'd shown me exactly who they were when they thought they held all the power, and I'd chosen to believe them. The sweet irony was that their plan to teach me about financial responsibility had actually taught me something far more valuable. My own worth wasn't negotiable, and I didn't need anyone's permission to claim my place in the world. These days, when people ask me about family drama, I tell them the truth. Sometimes the best thing toxic people can do for you is reveal themselves completely. It saves you years of wondering why you never felt quite good enough. So here's my question for all of you who've made it this far in my story. Have you ever had family members try to teach you lessons through manipulation instead of honest conversation? Have you experienced that moment when you realized the people who claimed to love you were actually working to undermine your confidence? Drop your experiences in the comments below, because I know I'm not the only one who's dealt with family members who confused control with care. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe for more real talk about setting boundaries with toxic family members. Share this with anyone who needs to hear that they deserve better than manipulation disguised as love. Thank you for listening to my journey toward choosing self-respect over family approval. And remember, sometimes the family you create for yourself is so much healthier than the family you were born into. Keep fighting for your own worth, beautiful humans. You deserve nothing less than genuine love and respect.